Hi, this is Nat with the Other Side Nursery. Today let's talk about the Foxtail Asparagus Fern, or the Asparagus densiflora. It is not a fern, and yes, it is related to the asparagus that we eat, but it is poisonous. How severe is this poison? I don't know. I haven't tried, I haven't looked too far into it, but it is poisonous to pets and humans, so don't eat this one. Yeah, so this fern over here, it grows up to be about 3 by 3 kind of shrub, 3 foot by 3 foot kind of shrub. It can be used as a landscape plant as long as you live in a drier, more warm area of the country or of the world. I wouldn't really recommend planting this outside in the Pacific Northwest, just because we do get a lot of rain, especially during winter time, and that kind of rots things out. But I have seen it in Southern California. It is rated up to zone 9A, so it can withstand a little bit of frost, but not like a harsh winter frozen ground cold kind of thing. So they do form these little long stems, spears, whatever you want to call it, and the leaves are tiny. You can see the leaves. Yeah, tiny little leaves. They will shed their leaves and the entire stem occasionally, especially the older ones. They turn yellow and they just kind of drop all the leaves, so it can leave a little bit of a mess, especially if you try to grow it inside. You can tell when it's getting older when the spear turns a little bit more yellow, and you can just cut that off before it starts to shed the leaves. So that's a way to prevent all that mess. Yeah, the spear can live for a couple of years before it sheds, so that shouldn't be such a huge problem unless you have a huge bush inside your house. Lighting wise, I would recommend half-day sun, maybe like morning sun into the mid-afternoon. I've seen full-day sun before, but the plant doesn't really look the best. It kind of looks like it's sunburnt. Ideally, like 6 hours of sun. If you grow it underneath tree, that would be great. Not too dense of a tree though, because it does like some light. It likes a lot of light technically, but too much light will burn it. But yeah, just imagine, like a tree with little sunbeams going down on it. I have grown this underneath my patio with no sun before, with alright success, but my best performing one is one that's by an east-facing wall, where it only gets morning sun. But yeah, it will grow nicely with most type of light actually, but as long as it's not sudden hot afternoon sun, that would end up burning it. As for water, it is a tuber forming kind of plant, so that means it holds a lot of moisture as is, so it can be a little bit more drought tolerant than not. You can kind of see the tubers up here. Most of it would be underneath the soil line, but sometimes they produce it above the soil line like that. That pretty much just means it's being pushed out, because this plant is actually needing to be repotted, which we'll be doing that in a few minutes. But yeah, water when it's dry. Don't keep it too moist for too long, because it can end up rotting, especially if the temperature is a little bit too cold. And by too cold, I mean like 40 and below. Yeah, just try to keep it on the drier side. I've seen it growing in Southern California, Los Angeles area with zero kind of interaction, and they do just fine. And as you know, it rains like what, 2 days out of the year in Los Angeles? Not literally, but it's pretty rare that it rains. As for the soil mix, just make sure that there's a lot of stuff that will help out with the drainage, like pumice, pumice, perlite, sand even, anything that helps the water just kind of plunge right through. As for propagation method, if you do wish to propagate it, they usually form little clumps that you can kind of divide during springtime. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but there's technically two crowns in here. You can take a knife in spring and then just kind of cut that up, it can recover pretty well from being divided. But just do it early spring so it has enough time throughout the rest of the year to kind of recover from that. So as I was mentioning earlier, it is pretty root bound, pot bound. Let's see how bad it is, and let's repot it into this over here. I think it's a nice combination. I've been told that I have poor taste in pottery, but whatever. I'm more of a plant person than decorative pot person anyway, so it doesn't affect me. Ellie. So I'm not gonna pull this down. Actually, yeah, it pretty much is holding on to the plastic pot right now with its roots and tubers. So I'm gonna cut the pot, I mean, and let's see how it looks inside. Gotta rip it. Ooh, that is good and bad at the same time. So it has healthy roots, it has healthy tubers, but the issue is it's wound up like this. So I'm gonna break it off a little bit, like so. See what I'm working with. Yeah, so as you can see here, I'm kind of detangling the root mass, and this is kind of, I'm not sure if you can see this. Yeah, at the end of the roots there are these little tubers. Don't worry if they snap off. I mean, I wouldn't strip the whole thing off, but if, you know, like a lot of it falls off, that's fine, you're fine, the plant's fine. It's pretty good at recovering, like I said earlier. But I'm just untangling the roots so that it has more of a chance to grow and spread down to absorb nutrients. They look like little potatoes, but yeah, once again, please don't eat any of this. Yeah. Look at that. So not too bad. I don't think I lost any of the tubers. I did create a little bit of a gap in the soil, or in between here though, just because you know, just taking out any kind of extra old soil would be fun. Oh, I guess I lost one, whatever. There's still several dozen more. So yeah, now you have this little string of potatoes here. And now we're gonna be potting it up in this pot over here. So, let me quickly get rid of this little garbage mess. As you can see, I didn't really take out too much dirt. Most of it was just roots anyway. So let me just pour this out. Quickly make some new soil. I'm using a mixture of standard potting soil and succulent soil, just because I do have succulent soil. The reason for the succulent soil is because there's a lot of pumice in here that I kind of want to use. Yes, I can open up a new bag, but I already have this. Why not just use this? So, not sure if you can see, I'm going to be doing half-half. So half of the standard potting soil and half of the pumice, or the succulent soil. And once again, you can just add perlite instead of using succulent soil. I'm just being lazy right now. So, I kind of like to line the bottom, in this case with the succulent soil, just because it's a little bit more, of course water can just kind of swish through that a little bit easier. Yeah, so So don't line the bottom of your pot up with gravel. It's been proven that it's actually counterproductive for drainage, so don't line it up with pure gravel or anything like that. But I'm just putting some of the succulent soil underneath, and then now I'm gonna mix a little bit in there, and make sure you shake it while the soil is dry. Shake the pot while the soil is dry so that the soil kind of blends or interweaves itself into the root system, because if you don't shake it, then the soil will just stay on the side and you'll have this void of no soil. So that wouldn't be good. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue mixing half and half in, shake, half and half in, shake. And the shaking is necessary, so don't be afraid to shake. So yeah, we're getting close to the top part. And you don't want to bury it lower than where it was, like the crown. You don't want to bury it below the original crown. And keep in mind, when you water the plant, everything just kind of sinks down, so you will be adding a little bit more soil just to top it off. So as for now, without actually having a good water source around here, well, a convenient water source, I should say, I'll kind of leave it at this level. When I water it, it'll sink down, so then I add more soil on top of it, but you don't want to cover the original crown area. If you do, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to like go around and brush the soil off or anything like that, because it will kind of adjust itself. But if you bury it all the way here, that whole thing will just rot off and you'll probably end up killing the plant. So this is the result. Ooh. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just feel free to give me a call or email me at info@theothersidenursery.com.